Is everybody getting on all right, Mark? Do you know of anyone that's struggling?
Not had any notifications, convener, that MD's got any problems with connectivity this morning.
Okay. Any declarations of interest?
Yes, Chair, can I declare an interest on the item on page 67? The reference 21/00590. I actually know both the applicant and the agent
All right.
from the council, so I would be quite happy if Mark puts me into the lobby at that particular item.
Okay, okay, Sandy, no problem. Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else? No. Is there any apologies, Mark?
I've had notification of one apology, convener, and it's Councillor Anderson.
Okay. Okay. Okay, second item on the agenda is the plan applications index. The first one's page 8 to 26, and it's PNG Mans Limited stroke Barrett Homes West Scotland Limited. It's a residential development with formation of accesses, landscape and associated works. Land south of Mans Road, Burgady, and the recommendation is grant. Is that agreed?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Next one, pages 27 to 35. Mr. Gurpreet Lally. A new building comprising retail unit and hot food takeaway, including removal of existing building at 58 Mother Road, Caffin, Motherwell. And the recommendation is grant. Is that agreed?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Pages 36 to 43 is Wilson Development Scotland Limited, and it's a residential development comprising of a flatted block of 24 flats, 16 cottage flats, 6 terraced and 2 semi-detached houses, and it's North Lanarkshire Council, Philip Murray Road, View Park, and the recommendation is grant.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Pages 44 to 55, NLC again, construction of a primary school, community health clinic with associated parking, bus drop-off, and provision of external landscape spaces, and it's Campsie View, Muirhead. The recommendation is grant. Is that agreed?
Agreed.
Convener, Councillor Stubbs has indicated he wishes to come in on this application.
Okay, Councillor Stubbs.
Alright, the Road Safety Working Group is preparing to make its recommendation to the council, and part of that's going to be what we think, it's not finalised yet, is going to be situations like this. Plan an application which is a private school being built by the council, which include provisions such as 20 mile an hour speed limits around the school, and zigzags with relevant signage to indicate they will be enforceable when that decision is made. Is it in order for us to insert that as a condition for this application, particularly 20 mile an hour speed limits, and any requirement that's needed to enforce that?
Lorna, do you want to answer that one?
Convener, if it's okay, I'll maybe answer that one. Sorry.
Right. Okay.
So when something like 20 mile an hour limits and that kind of thing is obviously done under roads legislation, so it's not usually competent for us to put that on as a planning condition. I mean, there was a range of transportation assessments done, and things that have been can be imposed by conditions which require off-site road works. So the likes of crossing points and that kind of thing can be conditioned, but it's not usually competent to do that for things that have to be done under other legislation.
Okay, so it'll be done separately, Alan.
Can I follow up then, Harry? I
Yep.
appreciate that it wouldn't be for the education department, whoever it is, whoever's responsible for that, to actually introduce the 20 mile an hour limits. That would be separate. What I'm talking about is the signage and any sort of traffic calming that goes along with the signage would be inserted as a condition. Should the council take the decision, or the roads department and the councillors take the decision between now and the building time for the speed limit to be different from what it is at the moment?
Graham?
Well, as I said, there's been a lot of dialogue between the applicant and our colleagues in transportation, including the submission of a transport assessment. So all the items that have been identified by our roads colleagues in terms of road junction improvements, footpath, off-site footpaths, that kind of thing has all been covered by conditions. So we're not aware that there was further works that might be suggested, but if it is on the public road, that is something that the Roads Authority can carry out without the need for planning permission.
Right, okay. Is that okay with you, Alan?
I think let's just get straight to the crux of the matter. It comes down to money, Harry, and
Aye.
the fact is, if we have a capital investment like this, it's actually a drop in the ocean to do the work that's required to bring in the 20 million hours around the school, as opposed to doing it after the school's already built and it becomes part of a larger programme across the whole authority. So I think I'm going to move that, and it'll be a bit untidy because I don't have anything prepared, but a condition be set that should the roads department, or should the council, we'll call it the council, determine between now and the beginning of construction that 20 million hour zones are to be preferred around all primary schools and secondary schools, then a condition of this planning application being granted is that the relevant signage be constructed as part of the project. So I'm sorry, Mark, that's going to be quite difficult for you to try and work out exactly like that. But if you can work something out along those lines for me, that's what I'm moving. I'm happy. Absolutely, it's great to see new schools being built, but we have to start now in our attempts to reduce the speed around the schools.
Chair, can I come in on that? It's my area.
Yep, right, John, yes.
Get round all the schools, Chair, and when you see them all, they've all got the 20/20 signs up. And they're quite hard for us to enforce, but all the signs are up. There's only one road there that gives me concern, and that would be Lindsay Begg Road. The rest of it is fine because it's all within. The drop-off point is going to be in Cliff Vale, but the majority of the traffic will go down Lindsay Begg Road. And very, very busy road. The only thing I would like to see there is from the corner of Lindsay Begg Road to the corner of our new houses that we're building there, the new council houses, put bollards at both sides of the road to stop people double parking. The rest of the road's fine. It's in the scheme, it's a drop-off at the doctor's surgery with 160 parking spaces. But my only issue is Lindsay Begg Road. Stop the parking on that. We can't put down double yellow lines because it takes a lot longer. But if we put bollards up on both sides of the road, cars can't park on the pavement. That's my only issue. The rest of it, when schools get built, the 20's plenty signs go around everywhere.
Thanks, John. That's the point I was going to make, that every school I know of, there's the 20's plenty signs round about them. So I take it they will be put up in this particular case. Right. So have you listened to that, Alan? Do you still need your
Yeah, I do, because 20 is enforceable. I'm talking about enforceable speed limits. It's part of an ongoing, a long discussion that's been had between all the parties and the independents over the last year and a half, 2 years. This is without letting the cat out of the bag. This particular provision that I'm asking just now is part of the discussions and hopefully part of the recommendations that's going to come to the council for all applications for schools. So we're just basically not missing out on this application because the report's been delayed because of the COVID situation.
Right.
There's a report coming to the council before the end of the year, and this is going to be something that we recommend in any case. So I get what John's saying, but anything that we can do to reduce 20 signs, the people don't even see them anymore. They're green for starters, so they're not. The people know they're not enforceable. By putting enforceable limits, and we have had the police at the working group, and we know that they're going to do their best to try and help us to bring down the speed around schools to make it safer for children.
But I think the point the officer's making is that can be done. That doesn't have to be in the planning application. It doesn't have to be a condition in the planning application. That can be done given. I mean, this school's it isn't going to be constructed for the end of this year or anywhere near it. You might be talking a couple of years away before it's even up and running. So there is plenty of time to put them in, but you don't have to have it as a condition of planning. And that's why I'm saying that your amendment, we really don't need an amendment here, but it's up to yourself. I'm only chairing the meeting. If the committee decide to support your amendment, that's fine.
Yeah,
Graham?
I will be moving it. I do
Ah,
think
that's fine,
at
no.
this stage, I disagree with you. I appreciate where
Right.
you're coming from, but I think putting it in
Okay.
now means that we're not messing about with it later on.
But there, as we say, there is no requirement for it in the conditions. But if you want to go with your amendment, that's fine. Could we have a seconder for that?
I'll second it.
A seconder? Right, okay. So the amendment is that this is added in as a condition.
Chair, sorry, my name's in the chat bar. I was going to come in there.
I'll never see, well, I'll need going to that chat bar, sorry about that.
Is it okay to come in?
Yes, Michael, I see you now, I didn't have it up, sorry.
You know, I totally understand what Alan's saying here, but I mean, he mentioned the cat out of the bag. I mean, the road safety working group has been prolonged for obvious reasons due to COVID and whatnot. But Alan, I would plead with you to let's finish the job we've started. Let's make the recommendations before we act. We're acting, we're putting a cat before the horse here. I would plead with you to think about your amendment, and please think about that, Alan, and let's get the work done at the road safety working group, and then make this sort of thing compulsory. Thank you.
Chair,
Right,
this is
Alan.
going to come to all schools, and it'll be mandatory for all schools. Once we get this started, it'll be 20s plenty around all schools, and that's something we can go forward with. There's no need for an amendment just now, because we're going to build lots of new schools around North Lanarkshire, and it's going to follow on that these road safety issues will be part and parcel of the schools.
Okay, well, we've got a move and a seconder for the amendment, and it doesn't sound as if he's wanting to withdraw it, so if you want to go straight to the vote, the amendment is...
Harry, you need to.
Convener, can I just come in at that point,
Yeah,
and just to clarify, and I might need to defer to my planning colleagues on this one. I'm just checking whether that this condition can be inserted within the conditions of the planning application before we kind of move forward. So I would like some advice that it's actually competent to insert
competent. Okay,
this condition.
Graham.
I mean, if the committee wish to add another planning condition, we can do. What we would need is a bit of guidance on the timescale. Normally, there's a trigger on conditions, so it would be before development starts or within 12 months of the planning permission, something like that, and a bit more detail of what's really been sought. Because as I've said, the promotion of speed limits is done under the roads regulations, so it's not a planning power as such. Things like signs, I suppose we could condition, but I think Councillor Stubbs is looking for a mandatory speed limit, which only roads can promote under their roads regulations. So as I said, we could put a condition on, but we'd need just a wee bit more guidance on perhaps what you could do that offline, perhaps, rather than getting too bogged down on that just now, if the committee decide that a condition would be appropriate.
Harry, if I can, I
Yes, Alan.
so I missed a wee bit. I caught all of what Graham was saying, but I missed what happened before. I'm not looking for the planning authority, the planning committee to impose the speed limit. That will be, I agree, that's for the roads. What I'm saying is that the condition should be that if the council, during any stage prior to, I don't know, completion of works, decides that it's to be 20 miles an hour, then it'll be the responsibility of this particular project to build the signs. Does that make sense?
To install the signs, basically, you're asking to install the sign, but that will be done anyway. That's, I take it, I'm not in education anymore, but I take it the 20s plenty signs is done for every school. So every school we build, there will be signs up.
Later on,
they'll become mandatory. When the roads, you can show the roads system. So, I mean, I'm a wee bit of loss here.
Well, 20 is plenty. It's not mandatory. You can't enforce it. You can't.
No, I know
You
that.
can't
I know.
stop somebody from going 30 miles an hour on a 20, but
No,
they can't stop them from going 30 and a 20. That's why. That's what it's about.
Convener, the
Yes.
Councillor Logue is wishing to come in, but maybe for clarity, and my planning colleagues again might be able to guide me on this. And I suppose without there requiring there to be amendment, that there's a condition to be added to the planning application, that if this project goes forward, that the signage comes from the project. Is that something that could be easily inserted without the need for, I suppose, division at the committee this morning? And that would be my planning colleagues that would maybe clarify that.
Yeah, I think we could put on a condition saying that, you know, if a mandatory speed limit of 20 miles an hour is imposed before the school is open, then associated signage should be erected before the school is open, something along those lines.
Are you happy with that, Alan?
Absolutely.
Right, okay, I'm glad. Councillor Logue, do you want back in, or we leave it at that?
No, I hate to get bogged down in this, but at the same time, we're making an assumption that that's what the working group is going to recommend. We have a very detailed report, 11 pages from 44 to 55, detailing all the planning criteria here. Well, now you seem to be working on an assumption and a hypothetical. I don't think that's the way we do business. We do business based on the very comprehensive reports which the planning officers provide for us. I think we should focus on that. And I would certainly be moving the recommendations as contained on page 44.
Right, so we'll go back to, we'll take Alan's amendment, and the motion is the planning authority's recommendation. So we get a seconder for the motion.
I'm happy to second the motion.
Right, okay, so go straight to the vote. The amendment is Alan's, and the motion is the recommendation. Mark, over to you.
Thank you, convener. I'll just go through the elected members. I think they're not all elected members on the meeting, so just bear with me. So Councillor Anderson is an apology. I don't think Councillor Beveridge is on. So we'll go to Councillor Burgess.
Motion.
Councillor Michael Coyle.
Amendment.
Councillor Sophia Coyle.
Amendment.
Councillor Curran.
Motion.
Councillor Douglas.
Motion.
Councillor Goldsack.
Motion.
Councillor Graham.
Motion.
Councillor Catherine Johnston.
Amendment.
Councillor Tom Johnson, I don't think is on. So we'll go on to Councillor Kelly.
Motion.
Councillor Lennon.
Amendment.
Councillor Logue. Oh, I've got that, Councillor Lennon. It's a amendment. Councillor Logue.
Motion.
Councillor McGregor. I don't think is on. Councillor McGowan.
Amendment.
Councillor McLaren.
Motion.
Councillor McManus.
Amendment.
Councillor McPake.
Motion.
Councillor McVeigh.
Motion.
Councillor Quigley.
Motion.
Councillor Redding.
Motion.
Councillor Shields.
Motion.
Councillor Stubbs. I think perhaps Councillor Stubbs has lost connectivity. I'll finish with Councillor Watson, go back to Councillor Stubbs. Councillor Watson.
Motion.
Motion. And finally, Councillor Stubbs. And in fact, I've just had a message up from the meeting. Councillor Stubbs has left the meeting. I think he's got connectivity issues. So the outcome of the votes is for the amendment. There attracted 6 votes, for the motion 14. So the planning application is agreed as set out in the report.
Thank you very much, colleagues. Thank you. Next one is pages 66, construction of a new primary school campus to replace existing Canberra and Sykeside primary schools and early learning centres at the site of the existing community centre, open land and sport pitches site at Paddock Street, Coatbridge, and the recommendation is granted. Is that agreed? Next one is pages 67 to 73. Mr. Lai Wai, change of use from office food takeaway to Kipling Street, Airdrie. Recommendation is grant. Is that agreed?
Agreed.
Pages 74 to 78. The Scottish Police Authority, change of use from general industrial class 5 to training facility class 10 with associated office and welfare facilities, building 5, Central Business Park, Hagmill Road, Shawhead, Coatbridge. Recommendation is grant.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Yep.
Sorry to interrupt. I actually missed that when I was looking through the application. Can I just declare a late interest and not take part in that?
Okay.
Because the just made.
Yep. Okay. That'll be noted. Your interest, obviously, because you're employed with them. Okay.
Apologies, Councillor Stubbs, I missed that there. Which application was it, sorry?
It's for the police.
Police Authority.
That's fine. Thank you, Councillor Stubbs.
Next one is pages 79 to 83, and it's from Paul Houghton. It's a certificate of alternative development, in brackets residential, plot 2, St Kevin's RC Church, 5 Mainhill Road, Bargedy, and the recommendation is refused.
Agreed.
Is that agreed?
Agreed.
The next one is similar, pages 84 to 89, Paul Houghton again, and it's certificate of alternative development, plots 2043 to 2081, St Kevin's RC Church, Bargedy, and the recommendation is part grant and part refuse. Is that agreed?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Next one is pages 90 to 98, NLC, demolition of the remaining school building and replacement with the 8 flats, former Cumbernauld Primary School, Glasgow Road, the village, Cumbernauld, and the recommendations grant.
Agreed.
Agreed.
The next application, pages 99 to 105, Mr. Graham Rye, a pizza vending machine, 27 Leaving Street, Motherwell, and the recommendation is refused. Is that agreed?
Agreed.
Convener,
Agreed.
Councillor Sophia Coyle wishes to come in on this application.
Right, okay. Sophia?
Thank you, Chair. It's just this is quite an interesting one, and it's probably maybe, I'm not too sure, correct me if I'm wrong, probably the first of its kind, maybe. And I know other countries do these kind of vending machines, and they're quite a good adventure. But the difference is we've got it down for refuse. Can we not put this on a trial basis to trial it out? Because we especially with the pandemic and COVID and things, and then you've got obviously people that's working late, and I don't see a problem with it, especially with it being pizza, because technically you'd get the pizza and then take it home, or if you're a lorry driver, for example, you'd maybe take it in your lorry and eat it. And this is probably a 24/7 one. And it's obviously there's no handling, you're not going into shops. I think this could be a good venture, but I think it maybe be a good idea to trial it out. I think we've got to be seen it moving with the times.
Okay, take your point on board. Michael McPeak, you want in next, yeah?
Yeah, thanks, Convener. It's certainly not the first. There's a few of them in Glasgow already. Whilst they are convenient, but in the report here, the bad neighbour development, so I think we've got to be very careful. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Michael. I'll bring in Agnes. Agnes is one of the local members.
Thanks, Harry. Yeah, I'm a local member in this area and I actually put in an objection to this.
Sorry, Agnes.
Oh.
I'll check with Mark, but if you've put in an objection, you shouldn't really vote it. Correct? Is that correct, Mark? Can I clarify that?
From a governance point of view, Councillor McGowan, if you've formally put an objection in, you may wish to have declared an interest in this particular application prior to the commencement of the meeting. If you want to do so now, I'd be happy to take that, and I could remove you from the meeting for this item. But it's entirely your decision, Councillor McGowan.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, I'm new in the planning committee. I'll declare an interest.
Convener, I can confirm that Councillor McGowan is now in the virtual lobby. Thank you.
You're on mute, Harry.
Sorry, Bob.
Yeah, thanks, convener. Yeah, I can agree with Sophia on the modern approach to things, but this particular vending machine is in an area of quite high population, and you're talking 24/7, and it would be problems 24/7, I think, on noise and as Sophia says, lorry drivers sitting having their pizza at 3 in the morning or whatever. But the area is my worry. It's got, I think, maybe 4 tower blocks, and it's got a residential area just across the road. He has had various other things, but I would think this would be a nuisance value rather than anything else, and I would certainly go against it.
Bob, thanks for that. Councillor Douglas. Trevor.
Thank you, Chair. I pass the one in Glasgow. There's one on the high street in Glasgow. I pass maybe 2 or 3 times a week. And at the very beginning, there was absolute mayhem. There's people queuing for half an hour round the block to use it. It has certainly calmed down, but at kind of 2 o'clock in the morning, when people are coming out the nightclubs, out the pubs. To be fair, the one on the high street is next to student accommodation, but there can be a massive queue. And when you're getting a queue at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning, you're going to have neighbours woken up, people shouting, people fighting. Not a suitable place, in my opinion. Not a suitable place for a pizza vending machine so close to people's houses and their flats and stuff. So I would be for refuse.
Right, thanks, Trevor. Well, the recommendation is refused. Is anyone otherwise minded? No. Okay. And then the application's refused. Next application is pages 106 to 113. It's Mr. Neeraj Salwan, change of use of retail unit to hot food takeaway, 31 Loudhope Street, Chapel Hall. The recommendation is grant. There is a request for a hearing on this one, and it does meet the criteria. Is there any comments anyone wants to make?
Chair, can I come in on that one?
Yep, Councillor McLaren.
Chair, if you go to page 110, there's the roads department have asked us to refuse this because there appears to be not enough parking spaces, and they're right. There are only parking spaces there for 2. This is a very, very busy road. I know in my village, some places have not got enough parking places, and it causes chaos. Cars double parking. Further down, it says drivers should park responsibly. We all know that doesn't happen. So therefore, I think we should be refusing this on the grounds of safety, and for the people in that street not getting pestered by cars parking up in front of their gate or blocking their driveways while they're waiting in a carry out. So I would recommend refuse, and I'll move that.
Harry,
John?
Harry, can I come in?
Yes,
Harry,
Michael?
can I come in? It's my
Yeah.
area, John, and I'll be honest with you, whenever it was Greg's, there was a bit of a problem because the parking is a big issue there. And people used to park across the road at the doctor's surgery that was taking up spaces for patients trying to get their cars in, and disabled people. I can understand where it's coming from, and I know myself a hot food takeaway is probably not the right vendor for that location there because of the location where it is, and I must agree with you there, John, that it would need to be looked at on another kind of business.
So are you seconding refusal, Michael?
What's that?
You're seconding John's proposal for refusal,
Yes.
right? Okay, I've got Michael McPake.
Thanks, convener. Michael Coyle's basically said what I was going to say. Greg's took it on and it didn't work. It didn't work. It's a very, very dangerous area where if you get double parking, a very busy road, it could lead to disaster. I'll just leave it there, Chair.
Okay. Bob, I've got Councillor Burgess. Bob, you want to make a comment?
Yeah, thank you, convener. I've got to plead guilty with Councillor Coyle. I did park in the doctor's surgery on a regular basis when 2 years ago I was travelling across there quite regularly, and it was Greg's at the time. And I must say, yeah, I used the doctor's surgery, which was obviously disgraceful. It's a terrible road if there's any cars sitting across from them. So I would refuse.
Right. So we've got a proposition for refusal, Councillor McLaren and Secretary Michael Cowell. Is there anyone otherwise minded? So that's agreed. We refuse that application.
Yeah, agreed.
Agenda 3 is it's a residential development in principle of 8 dwellings and access at land south of Devar Drive, Drumpeller Coat Bridge. And this is a response to the plan appeal. So therefore, what we're looking for here, we're seeking approval of the planning services comments for submission to the Scottish Ministers, basically. The appeal is on non-determination. So what we've got to do is say what we would have agreed if that were appointed today's committee. Is that agreed that we send the comments that we would have refused this application?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you very much.
Convener, Councillor Stubbs wishes to come in this application.
Alan?
Thank you. I'm a wee bit. I don't think I've been in planning committee since I was elected 4.5 years ago, and I don't think I've seen this happen before. And now we're seeing it twice in 1 month. Is this some sort of technical rule that somebody's found, and now are we going to see this more often? Is what I'm asking, because it's quite clear that I've had a good read of this report. As a local member, I've obviously had a lot of contact, and I've tried. And I have kept very neutral on the issue since the application was submitted. And I've read through the report, and it's quite clear that no planning authority on the planet would approve this, based on what's in this report. So it's clear that the applicant is trying to go over the heads of the councillors and take it out of the local hands. But what are we going to see this more often? Do we have to start moving things quicker? Is the planning department big enough? What's happened here? Because I know the next one's the same, and not in my area, of a similar reason that has been referred directly to the reporter. Can we just get a wee bit of understanding of that?
Basically, to answer your basic question is, has it happened before? And the answer is yes. I think the last one was up in Overtown, if I remember right. It does come now and again, and there are always good reasons for it. For instance, there might be still correspondence going between the applicant and the council, but then they just decide to say, well, it's past the 2 months or the 4 months, we're going for non-determination. It may be a route that they think they've got a better chance of getting their application through, because obviously they know that the recommendation is going to be refused. But as Lorna, you want to speak to that? You just add to that?
Not really, convener. I think you've covered it. It is an option that's available to applicants. We do try and enter into an agreement with applicants when we get applications that we think are going to take longer to determine. We can enter into a processing agreement. This applicant, I believe, didn't agree to enter into a processing agreement. So he's just decided that he stands a better chance, I think, by going to the reporters. It's something that doesn't happen that often, to be honest, and it's just maybe coincidence that we've got two at once. It just seems a bit odd.
Okay, Alan?
Yeah, I mean, I hope my comments didn't sound like criticism of the planning, because there's absolutely no criticism to be labelled here, certainly against the council, about how this whole project has been done. If anybody's seen it, it's a disaster what's happened in that area. what the applicant has done, and it's important that all of that information gets over the reporter now, and that it doesn't kind of sneak through. Can I just ask what options are available to the local community and neighbours in terms of what's open to them for making their? I know that their objections will probably be sent by the council to the reporter, but are they able to contact the reporter directly? Is the council engaging with them?
As far as I'm aware, I don't think they're allowed to contact the report, but I think everything's contained in the report and everything will be sent. And sometimes, well, generally the reporter goes out and does a site visit. I'm not sure if he'll do it in the first plan, but certainly I know he's did it before in applications I've dealt with. So, but the whole package will go there. You want to add anything on that, Lorna?
So Graham's desperate to come in this, I can see.
Sorry.
No, I was just going to say that we do, of course, send on everything that's come in connection with the planning application, but we also write to anybody that has made comments, and if they wish to add to what they've already said direct to the reporter, they can do that. So they can correspond with the reporter's unit.
Okay. Well, okay, Alan.
Yeah, thank you very much.
We agree that we approve the planning service comments for submission to the Scottish Minister. Agreed. Item 4 is residential development associated infrastructure, landscape and principal steps, and it's the same again, pages 141 to 160. We're looking for approval of the plans.
Could I stop you in that? I might need to go into the lobby here. I didn't appeal against the building of it because I know it's going through the council, but I have sent a letter to the reporter about the way that the developer has gone about his business. He's trying to bypass the democratic rights of councillors and community councils to have their say on this. So I don't know whether I should get into the lobby for that minute or not, but they made any objections to the building because I leave that until today. But I have objected to the way the developer has tried to bypass the democratic workings of the council. Well, I need to get into the lobby.
Mark.
Councillor McLaren, I think from what you're saying, you've not expressed a view on the application, whether it should be granted or refused. I know that you've made
Yes, I've made representation about the way that the developer is trying to bypass democracy. And that's basically what Alan's trying to put forward as well. This is a way to bypass the council, bypass the local members, and bypass community councils and the residents.
I would leave that decision with yourself, Councillor McLaren. But
I'll just stay in the end because what
I would say is that you've not expressed a view on whether the application should be granted or refused.
Okay, I'll just stay in
so
the
we could agree on the recommendation that we approve the planning service comments for submission to the Scottish Minister. Agreed? Agreed. Take it back as agreed. 5, notice of plan and enforcement appeals, pages 161, and that's just for noting. Agreed. Okay.
Agreed.
Thanks very much for your attendance.
Thanks.